welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day today. I really appreciate it. Well, we have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the Kidz Konnection Shoreline Theater Academy, and excuse me for looking down at my notes, I want to get it right. And Laura Attanasio, the executive producer, founder, and artistic director, is my guest today. And Laura, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you doing this wonderful show for the community. It's wonderful.
Well, why don't we talk about you and start about where you're all about, what your background is. How did you get to be in Clinton?
Oh, okay. So let's see. I have a degree in acting, a BFA from the New York University Tisch School of the Arts, and I graduated in 1989, not to date myself. And my husband and we were dating then. He had an opportunity in Minnesota, so I followed him out there, and it was there that I began my theater, professional theater career. I'm mostly in community service and youth serving ministries through the YMCA and schools, and our main objective was to help, at the time, individuals with disabilities find equal rights and opportunity in the arts. So that became my focus and my mission. And we were there for many years, and I was very, very happy. And then, we were both born and raised on the East Coast, and my husband had an opportunity. By then we were married. He had an opportunity to move us back east. We were thinking of starting a family, and so Connecticut came up, and he's from New York, I'm from Virginia. It just seemed like the perfect place to come. So how we chose Clinton is actually interesting as well, because I had my career rooted in the YMCAs and public schools. So I was looking at work opportunities in the Hartford area, and he had his position when he transferred from Minnesota to New Haven was in West Haven. So we took a map and we said, okay, we didn't have children at the time, but we drew literally halfway to Hartford, halfway from West Haven, and we plopped right down into the Shoreline, and the rest is history. We've been here since 1995.
I was going to say, you must have been here for quite some time now
Raised
already.
Both my girls here. I wouldn't trade it for a second. I absolutely love the town of Clinton, and I love the shoreline of Connecticut. So.
And when you arrived in Clinton, granted with your family, when did you become involved in the theater community?
Well, so I was always a theater professional doing youth service learning ministries. That was I've always followed my path in acting as a purpose-driven life. So I was working for the YMCA, and I wrote a lot of grants in Minnesota, and those grants I was able to transfer to the YMCA's here, based out of Hartford. So I was still doing a lot of theater through those programs, the service learning programs, working with a variety of public schools and charity organizations, helping kids at that time with disabilities find ways to integrate into the school system in a balanced and in positive way with other students. So this was back in the early 90s, when integration, as you may remember, was not part of the equation for a lot of school districts. So this, under the ADA, became a very big part of helping the nation understand how to do a good, a really good positive program, and I was part of that. So I was always doing theater, and then I decided to have children. So I kind of took a break. I left the Y, left my work in theater, and like every mother's story, I kind of fell back into it. Just because that's my skill set, and like I said, I live my life with a purpose-driven mission. So it was always important to me that the arts be part of my girls' upbringing. And so when they were growing up, I just started offering youth programs at my church that involved theater. And before I knew it, it's a long story, but the first time I got my feet really wet and back into the programming and into acting was when years and years ago the Valley Regional High School in Essex was looking for an artistic director to do their musicals. And at the time, my friend who I did, occasional work at the YMCA with said, "We should do this together. It'll be so much fun." And I said, "Well, I'm a mom. It's going to be so hard." And she said, "No, but we're all, we're going to have fun. We'll do it together." And that was really kind of my spark back into my professional work with my kids. And I would bring them everywhere I went. I brought them to all the rehearsals with the high school kids, and it was a lot of fun, and it was just a great way to sort of have a part-time job in what I love doing and still be a great mom to my children. So,
how long did you think growing up or in this type of environment that you would ever pursue an acting career?
When I was growing up personally as a child, I know I'm chatty, so I know this is hard to hear.
That's fine.
But a lot of theater actors will tell you this. I was extremely shy. And when I was a sophomore in high school, my English teacher came to me and she said, "There's a play that the theater department is doing, and I think you're a shoo-in for one of the roles." And I just laughed at her. I said, "I can't even stand in front of the classroom and do my science project. How do you expect me to perform a play?" And as many teachers are this way, very intuitive, she saw in me that potential, and she knew that even though I was shy in my peer group, I had leadership qualities, and she knew that this would be a way to help inspire that. So I went to my first audition ever when I was a sophomore in high school, and under the direction of Mr. Wren, who sadly passed away actually last year, he immediately saw in me what she did. I got one. It was a 3-person play, and I got one of the roles, and he changed my life. My English teacher, Miss Pickles, that's her name, Miss Pickles, and Mr. Wren, the artistic director of the theater department in Richmond, Virginia, at the school I went to, changed my life. After that, I couldn't see doing anything else. I saw what theater and what the arts had done for me as an individual, and I wanted to be able to give that back. So I continued to hone my skills and my work professionally as a young actor, and then applied to NYU and got in. And immediately when I went into my acting degree, I went to the advisors there and I said, I'm going a non-traditional route. I don't intend to be a famous actress. I know why I want to do this. And so I had a great mentor and advisor at the time, Jen Cohen Cruz, who now I think is at University of Syracuse, if she hasn't retired at this point. And she helped me tailor, which is the nice thing about large schools like NYU, that really understand everyone's different, especially in a program like acting. And she helped me tailor my degree around service learning and mission-based theater programming. So that's what I've been doing ever since.
Is there such a thing that they offer, granted at the school, but in general, what you're talking about? In
1989, 1990, there wasn't. It was really an approach that was unique to those of us that were sort of looking for our place at the NYU Tisch program. But today, I do believe they've actually separated. So the BFA that I hold from Tisch School of the Arts, you would now, if you were to want to go back to school, you would actually go through an education track. I'm almost certain there are 2 separate branches at New York University, but I haven't checked, so.
Tell me about the history of Kidz Konnection.
Okay, great. So Kidz Konnection started because, like I said, I had left my professional career to raise my children, and I had been an at-home mom for many years, doing some spot work and light work for the YMCA's in theater programming, and the schools as well, like Valley Regional. And my kids got to be about 3rd, 4th grade, and they said, Mom, there's no acting at school. They had the traditional choir programs and that sort of thing, but at the elementary level, there was no acting or drama program, and we want to do something. And and then they said something like, as I recall, one of them said, my older daughter said, "Don't you have a degree in this?" And I kind of looked at them and I said, "Well, I do, but I don't know. It's been a long time, and I don't know about how I would go about starting." So really what happened was, it was a youth group at my church, and then my girls' friends, and they were all 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, which when you look at the history of Kids Connection today, we serve everyone from ages 5 to adult now. So it's pretty incredible that this little seed, this germ of an idea, began with probably 4 or 5 kids in the 4th and 5th grade and 3rd grade that wanted to just do theater. In my church, the United Methodist Church in Clinton, they were extremely supportive of me. So they let me have my rehearsals in the church, and so that's how we kind of started very small in 2004, just sort of a youth group, a drama program. And then like a year or two went by, and they decided, well, maybe we should do like an actual production. And I thought, well, I don't, who do we know that would do that? And I didn't do any advertising. And my daughters were taking dance at the time from Miss Nancy. And I hope that your viewers are getting a sense of why I believe in a purpose-driven life, and why a mission-based theme to your work is so critical. Because as you'll hear, at every turn there was someone right there to say, yes, I want to help you do that. I like your idea. I like what you're doing. Let's make this happen. So now I go to Miss Nancy at the Dance Hutch, and she also just retired last year. And my daughters were taking ballet there. And she said, sure, you could have a play here. I'll tell my clients, that you're going to do this, and we'll see who comes to the first audition. Well, she was really the dance instructor, so the long story short of it is nobody showed up. One young boy showed up, and it was my 2 daughters and this one young boy, and he said, when do we find out the cast list? And I said, well, I'm sorry, Joel. His name is Joel Ridley, and he's a grown-up now. I said, we won't be able to do this show. There's only you that showed up, and it would be you and my 2 daughters. And he goes, if I could get some kids, would you still do it? And I said, well, how many can you get? And he goes, well, my 2 neighbors and my good friends, and they have a family of 6 already, and I bet every one of the kids would do it. And so then between your 2 and my friends, we've got a group, right? And I said, you know what, we do. Let's do it. So we started our very first show that year, 2006, Treasure Island, rehearsing out of Miss Nancy's program facility, the Dance Hutch on Commerce Street in Clinton. And it was just word of mouth. It was just those kids. And we did our first production in May of 2006. And it was one blow-up palm tree that I bought at Party Bazaar. And I thought, well, that was great. That was fun. It was cute. And all the kids said, can we do another one? And I said, sure, we'll do another one. And now word of mouth got out. So the next show we did was Alice in Wonderland, and I didn't even really prepare for the audition. I just assumed it would be the same group. And I remember pulling in, we actually did the audition at the church. We were kind of bouncing between the 2 sites. And I pulled in, and there was a line out the door and around the corner, 40 kids, just like that. So that's kind of how it and then all my families are like, I think you have a company.
Why don't we just take a moment? We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. Again, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I greatly appreciate it. Today we're talking about Kidz Konnection, the Shoreline Theater Academy based in Clinton, Connecticut, and we will put up their website so that you can take a further look as to all the wonderful things that they are doing there. And Laura Attanasio, the founder, producer, and artistic director, continues to be my guest today. And thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Why don't we finish up a little bit about the history and talk about the grant?
Sure, would love to.
Go ahead.
Okay, so once we realized we had a company, we knew we needed a space, and we knew that we needed to, become an affiliated business. So we had to actually look into what kind of business are we, and we decided, based on it continuing to be a mission-driven organization, and based on the arts and based on arts education, that it would be a nonprofit. And so in 2009, we secured our first space in Clinton. We actually worked there until 2.5 years ago now. It was in the basement of the Clinton Parkade, which most people know the Clinton Parkade as where Chips is. So, but it is called the Clinton Parkade, so I want to make sure I get that right. And so we were in the basement there for many, many years, and very happy there. We called it our bohemian basement. We just loved it. It was very magical, and the company just grew and flourished on the concept of kids finding leadership opportunity through the arts. So it wasn't about becoming a star. It wasn't about focusing on one or two students who have incredible gifts and talents. It was finding the gifts and talent in every child, so that everybody was getting a balanced opportunity at a good role and exploring confidence building and team building together. So that was really where we were headed. So we were there from 2009 until about 2.5 years ago, and my board members said to me, again, to the magic of community and the magic of following a purpose-driven life, they said, it's time to expand. We can no longer support the demographic that you are bringing in that small space in the basement of the Clinton Parkade, and we really need to find another space. And I said, well, I don't know where we would find a space that would be ideal for what I'm looking for, and I want to feel like the landlord understands what we're doing. I didn't want it to just be a business, and it needed to be affordable. And I kind of just put that on the back burner. You know how board members are. You're like, I'll check on that next month, guys, And that went for a little bit. And then one day I got out of the blue a email from my neighbor, and she said, I go to the First Church of Christ Congregational Church on the Hill in Clinton, and they're looking for a tenant for the academy, the old 1801 yellow historic building that sits on the green just slightly to the left and across the street from the town hall. And they're looking for a tenant, and they want someone that matches their mission and their philosophy, and they were curious about you. And I thought, wow. So I actually didn't pursue it immediately. I have a bad habit of thinking, oh no, that would never happen, and I do have a bad habit, and so I kind of let that go. And then a couple months went by, and then she emailed me again, and she said, are you interested? Because they really want to meet you, and they're going to have to make a decision soon on who's going to get that space. So what do you think? So I thought, well, all right. I'll take my students. So I made a presentation. I brought my 3 top students who were volunteering a lot and doing a lot of work with me, and they were part of the presentation. I actually had them do some of the program pieces for the board members of the church to show them what we were all about. And I just knew when I walked in the door, I knew that it was the perfect fit. It was everything you could imagine. It was magic. And so they offered us the space at a reasonable price, and the rest is history. We have grown immediately and exponentially since we received the opportunity to do our work there. And even without a sign on the front lawn, again with my word of mouth and the fact that I come with a great reputation, and the fact that we have that visibility now is just enormous for us as a small nonprofit youth organization for the arts.
You had mentioned the grant earlier. Tell us about that.
So what we are doing is, it's not necessarily a grant. What it is we began fundraising because I believe in giving back and teaching, continuing our work with service learning. The kids are doing theater, but they also have to have a higher purpose. They have to have a mission. And we were so blessed to receive that beautiful space that we decided that Kids Connection and its students should have as a legacy a chance to preserve further and restore the historic aspect of that building. Right now it's very 70s, you know, there's a drop ceiling and a linoleum floor in the upstairs level. So they did a great job, the church did, of putting in new plumbing and new septic, and you know, the heating is all new and the windows are all new. But in terms of the actual space itself, it's really whatever I want, you know, under there, as long as they agree to it. But I mean, it's really just what it was for years and years and years, since the 1970s. So we decided that we would like to, as a group, give back to the church by renovating that space. So we're focusing on the second level, and the students themselves spent all last year fundraising for it. We did a tremendous amount of fundraisers, the culmination being working with one of the chamber members, Mary Ellen Iriarty, who also is I don't know if you're familiar, but the Iriarty scholarship funding also does the you know, the concerts on the green in Clinton. So she's in charge of that. And she came in and she helped me spearhead our biggest fundraiser, which was done during the course of our Matilda production, where we sold raffle tickets, and every day at the end of the raffle purchasing, we pulled a name, and then they won like a gift, some sort of gift, like a $25 gift certificate to a nail salon, or $50 for groceries at Stop and Shop, that kind of thing. And we were able to raise, all told, in 1 year, one full year, that was the target. It was, we were hopefully going to raise $25,000. We raised $30,000 with all of the fundraisers that we did during the year, small plays with professional actors, music performances, and then culminating in the largest fundraiser, which was under the direction of Mary Ellen Iriarty, who I can't thank enough for helping us get there.
One of the things that probably the viewers are very interested in is, how is the organization doing with COVID? What's going on?
Well, so it's a good segue from where we are, because we raised the $30,000. March 1st was our celebratory marker for that. Matilda, one of our largest shows to date, with 100 students in it, was about to perform on March 8th through the 10th on the Town Hall stage. And we were 2 days to opening that sold-out show when COVID shut us down completely. And we were asked to leave the Town Hall. The students did not get to perform. And the renovation project obviously had to be put on immediate hold. So initially it was very difficult. But thankfully, again, people from all over the community came out in spades, our families being the major supporters. The loyalty of our families stood by us and helped us get through that period. And the church helped us by giving us a grace period on rent and that helped save us through this period. And then Steve Van Ness, who is instrumental in doing he's a part of the Clinton Arts Council, which I'm also on. He might make a great person on this show if you haven't had him yet. He helped me move all of Matilda online to a virtual platform. And when I tell you what an incredibly inspiring experience that was for me as a business professional, as a teacher, watching the kids, even though it was so devastating to lose the stage, know that there was someone behind them who had their backs, who said, we're still going to make this happen. And we did. And it was incredible. It was awe-inspiring, that period. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I would be mentally, because by getting through that stage with my students that way, and with Steve cheering us on, saying, we can do this virtually, yes, yes we can. If we wouldn't have had that, I might have just easily said, I can't take it anymore. The arts are sorely in need right now.
Yes, they are.
And there's nothing we can do. There's very little we can do to help maintain our organizations except wait it out. So those little bits with the community, the church, the loyal families, again, Mary Ellen Iarardi, who would meet me all the time on the street, on the sidewalk, and are you doing okay? Because remember, I was pulling those raffles that we did for that fundraiser during the pandemic. So I had to do a daily video, and it was hard. Sometimes I was crying, but I did it. I did it, Deb. And I think the kids loved it, and it kept them filled with hope, and it got us through. So now we're just kind of limping along, doing very, very, very small programs, but we're still doing them.
We have less than a minute left. What would you like the viewer to know about Kidz Konnection?
Well, I just want everyone to remember that Kidz Konnection is for everybody, ages 5 to adult, and we do everything from musicals to Shakespeare to acting classes to dance classes. We are a full academy for the performing arts. Even in COVID, we found a way to socially distance, work with masks. We have a beautiful lawn, and we are there to inspire your children to become the leaders of tomorrow. If there's nothing more I want people to remember, it's that. Because that's really what we're all meant to do, is make sure our next generation has that platform to become leaders themselves.
Well, thank you very much for being here. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Deb.
And I know the viewer really wanted to learn all about this, and so thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was great. I really enjoyed myself.
I'm glad.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And you've been tuned into Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert. Thanks so much for joining us today. We've been talking about Kidz Konnection based in Clinton. I hope you have a super day. I'll see you next time.